Welcome back to day 2 of the Town Bag Sew-Along. In our previous video, we gave you an overview of the sew-along, talked about the town bag, gave you tips for choosing your fabric, and also ran through the list of supplies you'll need to complete your own bag. Today, we're going to be discussing how to print and assemble your pattern. If you've used PDF patterns, this will be familiar to you. For those of you out there who have not worked with a downloadable PDF sewing pattern before, I'll walk you step by step through the process of downloading and assembling the pattern. It can seem difficult the first time you do it, but it's truly an easy and painless process. To start, you're going to need to download the pattern. You can find the link to purchase the PDF pattern in the description below. Once you've made your purchase, you'll receive an email containing the links to download your pattern. Click the links in the email to download your pattern. Keep in mind that the patterns will download to wherever your computer is set to save downloads. In most cases, this is a folder called Downloads, but if you changed it at any point, that's where it will be saving to. If your pattern opens in a browser window, this is considered a download because your computer is downloading it and the target destination setting in your browser is a window. We don't recommend printing from this page as it can be difficult to get the pattern to print without scaling turned on. Instead, in the upper right-hand corner, click the Download button and save the pattern to your computer. From there, you want to open it in Adobe Acrobat Reader, which can be downloaded free on their site. Over the years, we found Acrobat is the most foolproof way to print patterns at the correct scale, so I highly recommend using it. Once you've opened the pattern in Acrobat, go to File, Print, and the Print dialog box will open. Under Page Sizing and Handling, select Actual Size. This will ensure you're printing the pattern at the correct scale. The pattern is laid out to print on both US letter and A4 paper. We recommend printing just the first page to start to check that you do have everything printing at the correct scale. On the first page is a square that, when printed correctly, should measure 3 inches by 3 inches, or, if you're metric, 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. If you've got that correct, all you have to do is make sure you've got enough paper in your printer and press print. That is all there is to it. There are a lot of tutorials and methods out there for assembling your print-at-home PDF patterns, but I'm going to show you today how I assemble mine. If you have a method that works for you, feel free to ignore this section. I know a lot of you are new to PDFs coming from knitting, so I wanted to make sure we cover this in our sew-along. I like to start by grabbing a small cutting mat and an X-Acto knife. I use a different cutting mat than my rotary for this because my paper cutting mat is a bit thicker than my rotary one, and I don't want to destroy my rotary mat with this blade. I also use either a metal ruler or one meant for rotary use because the X-Acto knife can cut your thinner plastic rulers. You'll then be left with a ruler that doesn't have a truly straight edge. You can use scissors to cut off the edges, but I find the knife a bit quicker. It's all up to personal preference and what you have laying around. You're also going to need some Scotch tape. I like to use the matte tape just in case I need to trace off anything or make an adjustment to my pattern. The matte surface is easier to write on. Align the ruler with one edge of the outside border and trim. For the top row of pages, I trim off only the right edge. For each subsequent row, I trim off the top and the right sides of the page. You can also trim more than one set of pages at once. which saves time during this sort of tedious step. Just align the pages into a stack and trim. Once you've got your pattern trimmed, it's time to tape the pattern together. To do this, simply align the arrows and the borders of each page and tape them together. So here we go. In the printing instructions file that came with your pattern, you'll find a map of how the pattern pieces should be laid out, which can be quite helpful. You can tape the entire thing together, or what I like to do is tape together the pages for each piece, not connecting the pages that don't have the pattern on them. This way, it's easier to get things to line up. If you're slightly off cutting or aligning, by the time you have every page taped together, you could be off by 1/8 of an inch in places. But by aligning based on pattern pieces, you can keep things much neater. So for example, here we have piece 1, our line around the outside of the pattern piece, and this is piece 2. So these don't connect. This here, piece 4, does. So I'm going to cut that off. And just tape piece 4 together. Now I'm going to tape across the pages on piece 4. And I'm going to remove that and set it aside. Now we can continue. So piece 2 will align here. And the final page, page 6. This is a full row, 6 across. And I also just want to say, if you've trimmed slightly crooked or something isn't exactly lining up, 1/8 of an inch isn't going to make or break this pattern. So just do your best and I promise it'll be just fine. So just continue taping until your entire pattern is put together. So one last thing I'm going to do with the PDF pattern after everything is taped together is I'm just going to tape down these corner points and then the points where the pattern crosses pages, like the cut line. So there. And then here the cut line crosses 2 pages, so I want that to be nice and sturdy. You don't have to do this, but I am a person who likes to make things multiple times. So I don't want to do this part multiple times. I only want to do this once. So this just helps keep your pattern a little nicer and lasts a little longer. So that's that. So that's it for today's lesson. In our next video, I'll be walking you through the process of cutting and marking your fabric. We'll be covering both the kits and using your own fabric. So get your pattern assembled and I'll see you back here for that. As always, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below and we'll get back to you. And make sure you're subscribed to our channel so you don't miss any of our video updates. I'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye.